Hey guys, and welcome back. So you may recognize this pair of hole cut Oxfords that we recently did a review video on. We had completely taken these shoes apart to show you all the ins and outs of it. I'll put a link to that video above, which you should check out. But since then we have resoled these shoes. As you can see, because these are mine, I went ahead and had a little fun with the soles. And now what we're going to do is take you guys step by step on making sure that you have a really great shine on your shoes, and we're going to do that before I get these out. So let's get to it. Okay, so step one is just putting a really good conditioner on your shoes. As we've mentioned in other videos, when you get your shoes straight out of the box, most of those shoes that you're buying, you don't know how long that leather has been sitting there. A lot of times it can be sitting in the retail shop for a while. It could have been sitting at the manufacturer for a while, so those leathers are oftentimes very dry, and a good conditioner is what you need to do first to your shoes. A good conditioner is one of those things that is going to build the base or be the foundation for a really good shoe shine. In this video, I'm using Saphir Renovateur, which is just a brand that we have carried here at our shop for years and that we also sell. It doesn't have to be Saphir, it could be any conditioner, but you just want to make sure that whatever products you're using are a very high quality. I like to buff off after each step. I like to buff it off with a brush before continuing on to the next step. Alright, now the next thing we're going to put on here is a shoe cream. A shoe cream, or a good shoe cream, has some conditioners in it, but it also has waxes as well that are going to do a good job beginning to build that shine up. Obviously this shoe is black, so it makes it easy. We're just going to go with a black cream here. If the shoe has no scuffs or scratches, you could always use a neutral shoe cream as well, but in this case I'm just going to go with the color of the shoe. You could also, if you're wanting to add a bit of a patina to your shoe, you could also play around with some different colored waxes, or should I say, you could also play around with some different colored creams, and that'll add some dimension to your shoes. And I'm going to get a little bit on the leather heel blocks and around the sole as well. Okay, and again, after we have that cream on there and the cream is dried, I now want to take my brush and brush off that shoe. Okay. And once I have brushed both of those off, something that I like to do is just take a rag, a really soft rag, especially after I've put on the shoe cream, and I like to just lightly buff over that shoe to remove any excess shoe cream pigment that may still be on that shoe. For one, you don't want any excess pigment getting off onto the bottoms of your pants or anything like that. And it also just makes a cleaner surface for when that wax gets on there. Okay, after I've buffed off my shoes and gotten the rest of that cream on there, what I'm now going to do is follow it up with my first coat of wax. Now, again, we use Saphira products. If you use other brands, Lincoln or Angelus or what other brands you have, that's perfectly fine. But what we're going to do, again, is put that first coat of wax, and this one I'm using a neutral color. You can use black, that's fine, but because wax does not have a lot of pigment in it, so you're really not trying to cover up any scuffs or scratches. So a neutral would work just fine, just as as if you were putting a black wax on there. Now the first one, I just like to use my fingers. I think just the heat from my hands helps to melt that wax in there a little better. It's not anything you have to do. You can use a rag, but again, I just think putting that first couple of coats on there with my fingers is just something that I like to do. Now the other thing to mention is if you're just putting that initial coat of wax on there, it is okay to put a coat of wax all over your shoe, including up here on the vamp area. We're not putting enough on there that it's going to cake up or should I say build up and then that wax crack. So one coat is sufficient. Now it's time to buff those shoes off again. Okay, so we have that initial base wax all over the shoe, and now what we're going to do is focus on the toe area and the heel area of the shoe. Now because these are hard, it allows you to be able to add additional wax layers on top of each other without risking it creasing and cracking. What we're going to do, and it's a long process, but we're just going to start off with very light coats of wax, and we're just going to begin rubbing those again into the toe area and the heel area. Now again, light coats of wax is the key to this step. And you just want to begin rubbing it into really small circles and working that wax down into the shoe. Okay, now once you have that wax down in there, what I also like to do in order to really begin building up that shine is taking a little tin. What I like to do is sometimes I'll just use the other side of the lid for the wax, and I'll put cold water in there. Now the reason that we go for cold water is because you really want to solidify that wax and build it up to where it hardens, and that's what allows for the ability to add layer upon layer. If you use warm water, all it's going to do is just it's going to melt that wax, and it's not going to really build up as great of a shine. Now you just want to take little dabs of it and just kind of dab it onto the shoe and then lightly rub that water into that wax until you see it bringing up that shine. At this point, I've added a layer of wax to the whole shoe. Then I went back, and as you saw, I've added wax to the toes and to the heel counter area back there. At this point, you can either use a brush, buff those two spots off, or you can do like I normally do, and I just use my rag and I lightly rub it in with my fingers until that shine is brought up. Again, it's not necessary at this point, if you're doing it correctly, to use that brush and buff off those toe areas. Again, you just want to make sure that you're using very, very light pressure as you rub that water and that wax into the shoe. And now I'm going to go on and I'm going to add another couple more layers of this Pat Deluxe wax onto the toe and the heel area, just doing the same process that I did before. Just a little bit of wax rubbed very lightly into the shoe using small circles, and then go back over it with just a dab of water onto the toes. And again, very, very light pressure until that shine begins to show up. Okay guys, so I've added about 3 layers of wax to the toes and the heel portion of these shoes. What I'm going to do now is use this product called Mirror Gloss by Saphir. It's a great product for building up a wonderful shine on your shoes because it has such a high concentration of hard waxes in there and a very low solvent ratio. So when you use this wax, again, it just really does an outstanding job of building that mirror shine that you're wanting to achieve. Okay, so now we're just going to continue to do the same thing. I'm going to continue to take this wax here, apply it in small little circles onto the toe and onto the heel, followed by little drops of water. And just continue to rub that in little circles, rubbing lightly until it brings out that shine. And one of the things that I just want to remind you guys is that when you're trying to build up a really good glass, or when you're trying to build up a really good shine onto your shoes, it's definitely, like the saying goes, it is a marathon, not a sprint. You know, you could sit here for hours working on these shoes until you achieve the desired shine on your shoes. It's definitely not one of those things that is done really quickly. So be patient and just continue to work at it until that shine is where you want it. Okay guys, so I have gotten these shoes to where I want them from start to finish. This is probably about 7 to 8 very light coats on top of the toes and the heel. Like I said before, the important thing to remember is very, very light coats mixed in with just a little bit of water. You don't want to go too heavy on the water. You definitely don't want to go too hard on the wax. Just very light coats. And again, I did not brush off the wax in between each coat. When you start building that shine up, all you really want to do is just, you know, lightly work in that wax and that water mixture until it brings out a shine, and then you just want to continue to do that over and over until you get to the point that you're happy with the shine. So that's it. Again, I hope this tutorial helps you. If you have any questions at all about what we did or what you need to do, leave us a comment below and we will definitely try to get back to you. Again, we appreciate it if you'd give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel, as we're always having videos like this and answering other questions regarding shoes. Until next time, have a great day.